Hello everyone, I'm Santiago, and today I'm gonna be testing Antigraviator on the Geforce GTX 750 Ti. For performance monitoring, this time I won't be using cam since the overlay is not properly showing up, so in the meantime I'll be using MSI Afterburner. So Antigraviator, I'll be doing 1080p, 900p and 720p. To skip to those sections of the video, check the timestamps down in the description. First of all, I'll show you 1080p trying to get 60 frames per second. In order to do so, I had to turn off most of the post-processing stuff and lower some other general settings in order to get a more consistent frame rate. Then I just crank up the settings into the maximum, trying to stay over the 30 frames per second, just playable frame rates. That's what I'm trying to do with the best graphics possible. Also keep in mind, on 1080p I overclocked the GTX 750 Ti. I added 200 MHz to the core and 400 MHz to the VRAM. Then on 900p and 720p the overclock is completely disabled. Then I switched to 900p and once again I show you a 60 FPS configuration, and then I just crank it up to the max to see what frame rate we get. And finally at 720p, by using the maximum settings, that's more than enough to stay over the 60 frames per second all the time. So if you want to use the highest settings, just play at 720p and you'll be fine. I recommend just targeting 50 to 60 with this game, very fast paced. And now I'm going to talk to you about the options menu and my experience testing this game. So you have some of the usual options I see on Unity games, plus some extra stuff. Some of the options are missing, they're on the camera menu, such as ambient occlusion, bloom, motion blur, all that kind of stuff. So by far what affected performance the most, at least on my end, was ambient occlusion, bloom and motion blur. Those here play a major role, especially motion blur and bloom. Most of the aesthetic of the game comes from there. The anti-aliasing here seems to be a post-process solution, but it has a noticeable FPS hit. Soft particles can also help when there are many opponents on screen and they're just making contact with each other, so this can help when effects show up, which is very useful especially at higher resolutions. Then the options on shadows help a little bit, but it's not a huge difference, at least on this game, except if you're playing at 4K with, for example, a 1050 Ti. Their shadows, it can make a difference between 25 frames per second and 29 as an example. So the first options I will lower are ambient occlusion, anti-aliasing, soft particles, bloom, all that kind of stuff. I'll leave shadows as the last option to lower. You won't notice much of a difference with shadows anyway, because you're going so fast that you're not actually paying much attention to them, which is a good thing here. And also I have to apologize, I'm terrible at this game. It's so fast paced, I cannot keep up. My reflexes are not fast enough. It was released a couple days ago, the same day as Vampire, so I covered the other one first because it was requested much more. But yeah, this one looked very interesting. It reminded me of Wipeout and all that kind of stuff. But yeah guys, that's pretty much it. I hope you keep enjoying the video. Thanks for watching and see you next time.
3, 2, 1, go! Available. Trap available. Trap available. 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 Player trapped. Go. Available. Available. One, go! Available. Scrap available. Two, one, go! Scrap available. Available. Player trapped. Available.